So, how do you win global brands as a small business owner?
There were three things that we did when we obviously worked with likes of Canva, UN, Primark, as a Muslim company that didn't serve Muslim clients. Like our purpose, our business model was based on winning global clients. That's the first thing, the idea of having something that massively differentiates you to a client that has never had that service or offer presented to them, and them understanding like what is the business case, what is the market share that we might attain, what is the profit and revenue that we might generate from speaking to that. So the first thing that I think any business owner that wants to attract global clients, they need to know that as a global business you have multiple suppliers for something that everyone can provide. So they probably already have their social media marketing partners. They already have their paid performance, agencies. They already have their suppliers for accounting, finance, consulting. Like the generic things, there will be in long-term contracts that a big agency and organization has and probably has had over time. An example is like the agency Essence. They have a long-term standing contract partnership with Google. That would probably be for creativity, that would probably be for paid and performance marketing. So you can't then pitch that as a startup to Google because they already have vendors and service providers for that very generic thing. And they have probably world-class service providers or agency partners. So the number one thing that you need to do is identify what is that super niche angle that you bring, because they probably don't have that. Like we as a Muslim company with MIN, we did something very different for global brands who probably never had that service presented or pitched to them, which was we're going to connect you with Muslim influencers. By connecting you to Muslim influencers, you get in front of an audience of 2 billion worth 3 trillion. They're the stats that we had, and global brands never had anyone pitch it or present it to them. For organizations like Primark who were launching their modest fashion collection, it was we benefited from timing. But then once you've like actually got in front of that global client, they need to have someone else validate your existence that might be an organization or entity that they trust. So like Primark, they obviously understood influencer marketing, and the time that we were building the influencer marketing angle with MIN, they were also following Influencer Marketing Hub or the Influencer Marketing Awards, the Influencer Marketing Show. So we knew that if we were able to pitch or present on through this particular event, the Influencer Marketing Show, where we know Primark are absorbing information from because they were the authority around influencer marketing, we know that the Primark will hear someone else telling us or telling them that we are someone of worth and value. So we arranged speaking opportunities, and that's the second thing. Once you identify what your super niche angle is for global clients, you then need to be able to validate through PR. And I think speaking at events where there's probably at least 300 to 500 people and maybe thousands, like getting a 15-20 minute speaking opportunity where your ideal client will be, that's really important.
One thing that first-time founders or small business owners struggle with is getting obviously customers at first. But for my case, I'm building a AI company that helps founders automate tasks, work on their business. And AI is mainstream at the moment. Everyone is talking about AI. Everyone is jumping on the AI trend. How can I find that super niche angle where I could try to go after global brands, but at the same time not pitch something that is very commoditized?
So I think you can't do both to begin with. You can't go after global clients, global brands, because they will probably have an AI agency or AI organization that is providing services at scale. Global brand is maybe someone that employs over 500 people. So your founder angle is really important. The very interesting thing that I've seen recently is obviously on LinkedIn, we see a lot of content. There's this one organization that provides events just for founders of a particular ethnic background. And it's just meetups. So it's like, let's just use the Muslim example for this. It's like Muslim founders or Muslim CEOs meetup. and they have a small private community on LinkedIn. And this private community on LinkedIn, they just don't sell through that community. But that might be founded by a founder who's building the ideal client community and leveraging this community to build trust and transfer trust, right? Because he's attracting his ideal clients not to sell, but to get together and meet up. When he's getting them to meet up, he's building trust because they're seeing him, they're seeing other founders, he's facilitated this networking. That will most likely have the conversation on what do you do come up and be presented. Then he's able to not need to do a hard sell because he's transferred the trust. Like as a founder that's building something for founders, that's you identifying how do they 10x their business, how do they do it with less people, how do they save time. If you present that as a cold outreach, a founder that receives maybe between 50 and 100 LinkedIn DMs, maybe on a daily basis, is just going to see you like everyone else. But if you're able to create like a community, your ideal, client community, understanding what unifies these founders, that is a niche angle around your passion, you're able to then get them into a room to transfer that trust because you're the one that facilitated this, you're the one that creating that good sentiment, the harmony, the experience that feels positive. And then later down the line, the conversation, you'll identify problems because you have conversations with these individuals. You'll then identify what you need to do and how to present to them without needing to do the hard pitch, or they call it pitch slapping, right? You don't have to do that.
How effective is creating content, whether on YouTube, LinkedIn, alongside trying to get speaking engagements, is in terms of winning high-paying clients that you could retain for longest periods possible?
So we weren't creating significant amounts of content on YouTube. And if you were to ask me what's more important, I'd say the speaking opportunities. I think that transfers more trust quicker than trying to get someone to watch a YouTube video where you have a standing start, you don't have maybe lots of YouTube subscribers to begin with, no one does. So you're then needing to invest a lot of effort and energy that you need to see compounding, that's going to take a bit of time. But if you can get that speaking opportunity, you fast track that, you shortcut that. Is content still important? Yeah, I think you need to find your angle that differentiates you today though. Like you have the angle of you're a 21-year-old founder, you left your home country to work on this project, work on this startup idea, building an AI company that's no tech. That's actually really attractive to founders that don't want to get bogged down in the weeds of building something whilst you are then presenting a solution that solves a lot of problems, takes them out of working in their business, working on it. So your angle is unique, but finding a platform where it works, that's the challenge. If you're able to, obviously, I think YouTube is actually a great angle. I start with shorts first, with the idea of I'm a 21-year-old founder. I'm a 21-year-old founder building an AI agency. Like that is going to attract your super fans. Maybe not initially your ideal clients, but it attracts your super fans. Then you then leverage that to get world-class speaking opportunities where you can speak to your clients, because you can say, look, I've got this community of people that exists on the social media channel. And then instead of you doing the hard sell to get that speaking opportunity, they would want you because you're going to raise awareness of that speaking engagement or that particular event. And I was listening to something about Forbes, how Forbes 30 under 30 became a massive revenue generating arm for Forbes itself when it launched in 2011, because they were then able to build events off it, sell speaking opportunities, they were able to build this whole arm of business based around that. That's the same with what you would do through YouTube. You'd leverage that once you start to get traction using shorts, etc., using your angle of being 21-year-old building this AI. And then when you go to pitch yourself to a speaking opportunity, they would be more inclined to listen because you have traction.
We spoke about getting and trying to attract these types of clients, but how do you retain them?
It's definitely, we all know the stat that it's harder to attract a new client than it is to grow an existing one. And that's because I think most founders get kind of shiny toy syndrome and feel the idea of working on something new is better than working on something that already exists. But then what happens, it diminishes profitability if you don't do it well and you're trying to get new clients. So you're always chasing your tail if you focus on the new clients. How do you get them retained, and how do you get them paying you more over time? There's the best thing is account-based marketing. Like for me, that I've seen other agencies, I've seen ourselves in the past be able to grow client accounts from a few thousand to tens of thousands by just having dedicated strategies for that particular individual or the particular organization. How does this be done in a very simple way that you can utilize even your own company? Is Jesse Itzler talks about this concept of 3-minute miracles. Every month he reserves 3 minutes where a founder or people in this network are managed and engaged with, and he sends them something useful, lets him know that he's thinking of them. And the most important thing for a client, if you want to make that client grow when it comes to their account, is make sure you make them feel like you're thinking about them, thinking about potential problems or potential scenarios that they need to be able to avoid in the future. So you're anticipating for them. So when you are doing that, you're showing and demonstrating to the client that they are priority, that they are number one, because you've projected forward and anticipated issues that might arise if they don't do these particular things. Whether they take them or not is another thing, but you need to be able to be in the position that you're giving them the mind share or making them feel like they have mind share. So that's the first thing. The account-based marketing stuff is attached to that. You then need to be able to package and present it. And by the way, most clients are always thinking about how they can get rid of you from a financial perspective. So the reward for that client has to outweigh significantly the cost for them as an organization or as an individual. Because otherwise you are on that chopping block, you are on that potential red line in the financial model where they are thinking, what's the worth and value that this individual, this organization brings? So you need to make sure that you're always compounding revenue or time for that particular client. Like this, the concept of the time billionaire. I think Sahil Bloom talks about it. Like he calls himself the time billionaire. Like for him, the most important thing is that freedom. So once you've identified for your client what's important to them, make sure you're delivering on that. Most of the time it's revenue. You've then demonstrated that they have mind share. And then you need to make sure that you are systemizing their business or simplifying their business. When you do that, you help them scale because people process to scale, people don't. So you do that, and then I think that's how you keep growing your account.
I think one way you could get into the door of attracting these clients is by making or doing one-off campaigns that will cost normally less what you charge. How do you then graduate these clients from one-off campaigns to something that they could, like a long-term client?
I mean, big brands, global brands, it's harder to do that with. But startup founders and in particular startup organizations, they don't want the headache. So if you're able to demonstrate you taking away a lot of the headache and a lot of the thinking, a lot of the doing, because startup founders just want doers, they don't want thinkers. If you can demonstrate a lot of the doing, that's how you take away from that one-off to the retained. And that retainer, you have to be thinking about that retainer almost like a startup as well. So, like, how do we make this better? How do we provide more value? How do we deliver more consistently? And there's always the concept of buyer's remorse in advance. How do you anticipate that so that once they've signed the dotted line, that's when the remorse kicks in? You are already anticipating them feeling like that, saying, here's a win, by the way, already. So you're already 5 steps ahead. And Patrick Bet-Davies talks about this concept of always being 5 steps ahead. Like that's what you need to be continuously in the process of for the founders. You're going to have to appreciate there's attrition. Like there are going to be founders that will get rid of you for no reason. Maybe they want to bring it in-house. And you have to anticipate that by getting more clients to remedy that particular problem that might arise.
One last question. First-time founders could be working on a million things. Could be trying to get speaking engagements, trying to get on podcasts. What is your advice on the most important thing first-time founders should be focusing on?
Being intentional. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head with the word, which is focus. What should they be focusing on? Just be more focused. Like if you are able on Sunday, for example, to have sales-related activities. So 9 to 11, obviously we're working Sunday to Thursday, that's why. So 9 to 11 will be sales-related activities. Being very intentional and focused and scheduled, and having windows in your day where if attention or your time is attracted to something else, you've anticipated that. So it doesn't feel like you're procrastinating or doesn't feel like you haven't achieved. Because the most important thing for first-time founders is traction, is the compounding of those little iterations that allows you to create that hockey stick effect. So because you've been focused, because you've identified patterns in your day, because you've scheduled certain things, like for example, Tuesday is just meetings for me, like Tuesday is the day that I dedicate just for meetings. Why do I do that? Because if I was to have meetings across every single day of my week, I would find my mind distracted, or I'd feel that sense of overwhelm and not doing, which I feel most rewarded by the idea of doing. So I dedicate that. Then I know, okay, Tuesday's this. I need one day for content. We generally have that on Sundays. I need one day to be able to do more, so I'll dedicate that. So you need to be able to systemize your days, systemize your weeks, systemize your month. And there's generally 5 functions you need to think about, which we know, the idea of sales, marketing, the technology, the HR or the people related activities, and then the finance management. If you put those 5 things into the windows of your day, anticipating that you're going to have some attrition or some things, some time that you'll lose, because you've done that, you've always been ahead of the potential distraction that might come your way.
Thank you very much.
That's it. Yeah, all good. Thanks again. So that was a conversation with Zakaria. Zakaria is a entrepreneur in residence who's building a really exciting startup, I believe anyway, which is called Ally. Ally helps founders build their assistant and AI assistants and agents that helps them automate, scale, and sell more of their products by simplifying that process. He's doing it through no tech, and we were just discussing the idea of how do founders scale and succeed. Hopefully you found that particular video useful. Thanks for watching.